What up, is Marcus? We are doing the sits of the week. Now, these are some players that have big names. Like, we're going to talk about Dak Prescott right off the bat, that are big names that we are actually benching. Now, this is an important week again because we are going to be going into the playoffs, and you cannot make mistakes. So the first one right off the bat is Dak Prescott. Now, there are players like Kirk Cousins, like Jared Goff, that I would actually rather have started over Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott against Houston. Now, Houston, they suck against the run. And they let up a ton of defensive touchdowns. Dallas is great with the run. They are great on defense. I mean, this could be a 42-7 game, and you could have 0 touchdowns by Dak Prescott. I mean, realistically, you could have 2 from Pollard, 2 from Zeke, and you could have a defensive touchdown or 2. I mean, that's how bad Houston is against those positions. And so I'm actually benching Dak Prescott and trying to get to a different position. I'm doing that in Dynasty in a particular route. I have Tua and Goff, and I'm starting Goff over Dak. I have another one where I have Kirk and Dak, and I'm starting Kirk over Dak. It's like, you got to do what you got to do. Like, this is an important time, and I think Dak could easily have, even if he has a touchdown, it's like you could have 170 yards and a touchdown. It's like, I need the guy like Jared Goff could get 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Like, I'm okay with that position. And Houston's been good against the like, they haven't really let up very many quarterbacks over that, like, 20-point route. So, I mean, you're looking at some of the elite quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, but, I mean, you're really limited on what they have actually let up. So, anyways, the next one is going to be Deshaun Watson, benching him against Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's defense is actually fairly good, and we watched him do horrible against the Houston defense, which we just talked about. Really, since Cleveland was saved by their defensive touchdowns, and the Bengals' defense has improved. I know that they just went against Patrick Mahomes, but I mean, you go from Patrick Mahomes going against to Deshaun Watson, there's a huge gap at this point since Deshaun Watson is slowly getting back into things. So right now, I'm just trying to bench Deshaun Watson. I want to see it before I play him if he's on my roster. The next one is there's a couple of them here. Daniel Jones against Philadelphia. Philadelphia's defense, really good. Daniel Jones has seemed to struggle as of late. And so, I think that Saquon Barkley is going to run a ton against Philadelphia. That's where their weakness has been a little bit lately, has been against the run. So I am seeing a lot of Saquon Barkley, a little Daniel Jones. The next one I'm going to do is Mike White against Buffalo. Mike White against Minnesota was good, but Buffalo's defense has been opportunistic, and they have been able to create turnovers. I don't think the Jets are going to be able to score enough against this Buffalo defense through the air. I do think they're going to be able to run a little bit against Buffalo. And I think that's the route they're going to go here. The last one is going to be Derek Carr against the Rams. I think this is where it ends. I think the Rams have been good again. Like, I think they're going to take away Devontae Adams, or they're going to try to with Jalen Ramsey. That leaves a little bit of Foster Moreau, a little bit of Matt Collins, and I think that he's going to be able to get it to those players, but not to the point where you're going to have Derek Carr hit 250-3 or 302. Like, I think you're going to have some limited upside here and I think they're going to run with Josh Jacobs. I mean, Josh Jacobs is hurt apparently, but apparently he just decides he wants to run for like 200 yards every game lately. Some other benches against San Francisco. Yes, you have Tom Brady, but you also have running backs Rachaad White and Leonard Fournette, which seem to just, I don't know, they seem to just split the time. And this seems like the classic New England backfield. Ugh, I had something in my mouth. It's classic New England backfield. Do you remember James White and I'm trying to think who else? Sony Michel. So that kind of backfield. Think about that being in Tampa Bay right now. I almost said New England. I think against San Francisco, I am staying away from this. This could easily be like the game that you saw against the Saints just on Monday night, where it is a low-scoring and ugly game, and maybe you get some garbage time. Not even garbage time. Maybe you get some end-of-the-game heroics here, but I'm just trying to stay away from it. It is very tough to run against the Ravens' defense, and so Najee Harris against Baltimore, and Najee Harris has been and banged up. I'm going to try to lean away from Najee Harris, which is sad. It's just the fall from grace that Najee Harris, last year, an absolute stud in fantasy. This year has been really banged up and just been up and down. His third year is going to be one of the most interesting draft positions. I could see him being into that like third round. And teams really having a hard time figuring out, should I draft him? Should I not? Maybe he'll even sneak into the second round and he could be an easy steal, or he could be performing like he did now, where it's like he's not even an automatic start. He's being benched behind a lot of players. And we're going to do the Buffalo backfield. Now, James Cook, I almost said James Conner. James Cook and Devin Singletary. I mean, James Conner's not going to have a very good matchup against New England anyways, but so he could be a bench too. But James Cook and Devin Singletary have been splitting time. I mean, you saw really close to touches this last time, really close to snaps this last time too as well. And against the Jets defense, who is a really good defense, I am trying to stay away from those two running backs here. I'll pick some other running backs before those two. Some wide receivers here. Man, DJ Moore. I mean, he had a couple good games, but we're benching him. Sorry, it's against Seattle. I understand, but we are going to bench DJ Moore. Just can't do it. Not trusting it at this point. And so the next couple of wide receivers are going to be tough ones because you have Juju and MVS, which, I mean, you have players with Kadarius Toney being hurt, Sky Moore not being really used. I think that the Broncos will. I think the Broncos are going to be a very, very good defense, but I think they're going to be susceptible with Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is a beast, and I think they're going to run with Isaiah Pacheco. I think they're going to do a little bit with Jerick McKinnon. You might get a sprinkle with a little bit of Juju and MVS, but not enough. I mean, you could have MVS with one catch for 50 yards, and it'd be an important catch, but like that's just not enough, especially when you're in half point in PPR. It's like he just doesn't get enough catches through there. The next one is Donovan Peoples-Jones. I almost said DPJ, which is DPJ, but it's just the chemistry's not there with Watson yet, and that's just the key. And he did have a return touchdown, but like you're not going to bank on having return touchdowns every week or even like more than once a year. I mean, just that doesn't happen very much. The next one, Darius Slayton. We talked about Daniel Jones just like 4 minutes ago. I think against Philadelphia, if he is against Darius Slay, I mean, it is Christmas season. The Slay is going to stop him. And so, again, I have that dynasty question of, like, I have Darius Slayton, Zay Jones, and Matt Collins. I have to start one, which is just desperate times and desperate measures. Which one should I start? I'm leaning Zay Jones. I am not feeling good. I kind of want to throw up in my mouth. But that's what you have to do in fantasy. Actually, sidebar. I know we're going to get to tight ends here. We'll get to we'll get there. We watched a fantasy team with their wide receiver 2 win the dynasty championship last year with Laquan Treadwell. They had a good team besides that, but they won the dynasty. They won the dynasty championship based solely off of a pick between Jalen Guyton and Laquan Treadwell, and they chose Laquan Treadwell, and it made them win the championship. So sometimes you throw up in your mouth, and then you win a bunch of cash. Sometimes it happens, and that person won a couple $1,000, and they were happy as all get out. All right. I don't know how that happened. All right, we get the sidebar. Some running back or tight ends that we are going to actually bench. Dawson Knox against the Jets. We're going to bench him. We even watched Hawkinson not have a great game against the same team, and Hawkinson's a lot better. Tyler Conklin against Buffalo. Same matchup against Buffalo. I think that Dawson Knox is a bench here. Noah Fant against Carolina. I think Fant's going to cool off in this matchup. I think the Seahawks are not going to use. I think Fant's safe for your game. You're like 3 for 40. I'm looking for more upside. I'd rather have the guy that's going to potentially go for 1 for 8, or like 1 for 8 or 7 for 80, like a Dulcich or something, which seems to be that. And then the guy who has been a hot pickup, Daniel Bellinger, he's on track to return. This could be an out by the time this video comes out. But I'm not trusting him against Philadelphia. And then the last one, I am not chasing a touchdown in the Saints game. that was last week. In the San Francisco game, Cade Otton, benching him. I am not playing Cade Otton against San Francisco. No way, no how. You can't make me do it. All right. Fantasy defenses that we should sit. I think this is actually kind of a trap game for the Bucs. We saw Purdy be okay, and I think that Buccaneers have just been okay as a defense. I'm not necessarily trying to start the Buccaneers. They're okay, but again, we have to try to look at some defenses that are going to take not even a hit, but maybe a trap here. And I'm sometimes wrong on these traps, but we got to try to do them. Jets versus Buffalo. you're going against Josh Allen. We're not doing it. And then the Jets again, or the Buffalo against the Jets. I do like that play. So just know that from yesterday that I do like that play. So I think it is a one-sided kind of defensive matchup there. So Titans against Jacksonville. Now I know that Trevor Lawrence might not play, and so if Trevor Lawrence is playing, I am benching Titans defense. There is a chance that Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, and then that would Titans defense would look good, but against a quarterback that has been actually decently hot lately, and I know Detroit absolutely smoked them, but again, I think the Titans defense is a little bit of a bench right now. All right, this is Marcus. Peace out. We will see you next week.